based on the details of the mobile phone. So this Wi-Fi was created, and when we were investigating the laptop of this guy, what we found out that on a particular day, this guy actually connected to the Wi-Fi hotspot of this ID, that is specific ID. Okay, Ramesh something AP1234, and just from there, I was able to kind of figure out using this EVTX file that there is a kind of a close relationship with this guy, because even this was not a kind of a open Wi-Fi. It was like a secured WPA2, which requires a password to kind of connect. So this guy was successfully connected to that Wi-Fi. So definitely they had some kind of close relationship. They had a trust by which this HR2 actually shared his password with this guy, and that's where we kind of we when this guy told in the interview that this person doesn't know this too, then we presented this artifacts to that guy, to the one that you had connected to his mobile with a specific password on this date. Okay. And that's when we gave that, he actually got really afraid, and he actually agreed that yeah, that person, user one, actually knows this HR2. And because we had certain other analysis, certain other chats and all of different other people, we made this both of these guys resign from the company. Okay. So thing is that you will never know when a certain artifact will be useful for a different kind of scenario. Here we had no idea that this artifact would have been useful. Okay. But we got to that. We got to know that. Even like, let's say you are doing any policy violation case, and then let's say some harassment case, and let's say you had two employees and you want to figure out if they are in some kind of a relationship. Okay, so there was some cases of that too, where there was a HR lady, and he was having some kind of relationship with one of the employee. He was a director. Okay, that's kind of a normal, but that's all fine. But then they were actually why it actually turned out to be a bad scenario, because the director was actually giving let's say some preferences, like let's say promotions, or let's say some kind of like preferences to on the job part, which was actually wrong, because there were complaints from other employees that they are not getting the same preference. So that's where we had to figure out, okay, um, are both these guys are in some kind of relationship. So we looked at the chats and looked at those things as a soft professional. And again, thing is that as a funny thing, we actually again found out that these two guys are in a relationship, because we in this lady. So I'm just telling you, like just giving you an idea. I'm not just giving an idea of what all things you will be kind of encountering as a SOC professional or as an incident response team. That this lady had some tickets, and the funny part was that some tickets or some booking voucher of a hotel. Okay, and that hotel was having some kind of a Wi-Fi hotspot. And what we found out that both these guys were having their mobiles were actually connected to the same Wi-Fi hotspot. So we are knowing that okay, this both guys were kind of in the same hotel at that same day. Okay, so you can't never know how these artifacts will be useful, and so we need to know, okay, what all as a SOC professional we need to be unbiased, and we need to do the investigation no matter what is the case when that case comes up, and we need to do that thing, and we need to kind of present our analysis. We can't do any kind of judgment from our own end, so we need to prove all this thing in an unbiased form via the artifacts, and we present that to the legal team, and then we leave out to the legal team to decide what disciplinary action they need to take. So this is just like few incidents which I like to share about the window event log, which I have encountered earlier in my career. And similarly for network interfaces part, again, thing is that there were certain like lab. It is again kind of very useful, because there was one case where we were investigating a lab, a system in the lab environment which was kind of compromised, and what we found out that that system was having two network cards, two cards like Wi-Fi card and the Ethernet card. The Wi-Fi was actually connected to that person home router, okay, to their home router, and the Ethernet card of that system was actually configured to the company network, and we were able to figure out that, okay, even this is a lab environment. This lab environment was having some kind of connection with the enterprise network, okay, which shouldn't be the case. And that's where the attacker actually came in into the company network, just because that network interface card was having two interface, where one was connected to the outside world and one was connected to the inside world. Okay, so there are a lot of artifacts that you need to kind of figure out and kind of know about, to kind of figure out, okay, what all things you can kind of gather, what all kind of story you can gather from a Windows or Linux host. Okay, in similar manner, we have a lot of other artifacts like system information. This is again very useful to know, okay, what kind of operating system is running on that host. So let's say you are doing any memory analysis. So to do any memory analysis, you need to know the version number of that operating system. Then only you can parse that memory image in a better way. So this all thing you can kind of figure out via kind of reading this artifacts, and figure out the more information. Let's say when that let's say I need to figure out when that system was booted up or not. So in that case, again, we need to kind of figure out. So one of the incident, again, I can say that with for this guys, how it was useful is that we were investigating a host for which we received an alert, and let's say today I got an alert about that there was certain malicious activity that happened, but that malicious activity happened 10 days before. Okay, 10 days before, and we need to figure out, okay, should we do the memory analysis or not. And the memory image is like, let's say 64 GB of memory image, and we need to decide if we need to conduct the memory analysis. So before kind of conducting the memory analysis, what I did is that I looked at the last shutdown time by looking at these artifacts, and I figured out that that system was actually shut down 5 days back. Okay, and the alert is of 10 days back. So there is no point in kind of analyzing the memory to a certain scale, because if that malware was there, if it was just loaded in memory, that was totally flushed out because the system was actually shut down. Okay, so we deprioritize that memory analysis activity. Okay, so I hope you got an idea like how this can be useful to kind of deal with any kind of incident that as a soft person be kind of handled. Okay, similarly for the last part, like USB devices, we can figure out, okay, what all USB devices were connected, what are their serial numbers, and uh, few other details too, like when it was connected, and let's say what all files were copied to that USB. So you can kind of figure out there are a lot of artifacts for that too. Okay, so I hope you got an idea about a vague idea about what are different kind of artifacts you can kind of collect from a Windows host for this one. And in similar manner, you can there are also artifacts for Linux host that you can kind of figure out. We'll look at more time at the Windows host because this is something we investigate more, but I'll give you some ideas about the Linux host too. Okay. So any questions before I proceed to the next section, guys, on this part? Okay, so I understand like you guys don't have any questions on this one. It was I hope this was interesting to kind of understand. So we'll look at all this thing in a much more deeper way when we're kind of doing the analysis. We'll look at all this window time rules, the file folder opening, deleted files times, everything, most of the things actually. So now before going to the next topic, we'll take a 2 minutes break, guys, and then we'll resume our discussion with the let's say how to kind of know abnormal and process running in our host. Okay, so just give me 2 minutes, 2 to 3 minutes, and I'll come back.